Democratic Senator Dianne Feinstein was approached by the Sunrise Movement along with some kids to try and get her to support the Green New Deal. And this is what happened.
We're gonna go in and share this letter, and we're gonna do it all together. Yeah. Share it in front of Feinstein. Okay. We're asking her to vote yes on the Green New Deal.
We are trying to ask you to vote yes on the Green New Deal.
Please.
Okay, I'll tell you what. We have our own Green New Deal.
Some scientists have said that we have 12 years to turn this around.
Well, it's not going to get turned around in 10 years. What we can do,
Senator, if
is
this
put
doesn't get turned
ourselves-
around in 10 years, you're looking at the faces of the people who are going to be living with these
Guess what?
consequences.
The government is supposed to be for the people and by the people and all
You know
for the
what's
people.
interesting about this group is I've been doing this for 30 years. I know what I'm doing. You come in here and you say it has to be my way or the highway. I don't respond to that. I've gotten elected. I just ran. I was elected by almost 1 million vote plurality. And I know what I'm doing. So, maybe people should listen a little bit.
I hear what you're saying, but we're the people who voted you. You're supposed to listen to us. That's your
How old are
your
you?
job.
How old
I'm
are you?
16. I
Well,
can't
you didn't vote for me.
Well,
I'm
she
24.
voted.
It doesn't
I
matter.
did.
We're the ones who are going to be
words mean
impacted.
something.
It doesn't matter. We're going to be the ones who are impacted.
I understand that. I have 7 grandchildren. I understand it very well.
Senator, the cost of
And-
not taking this action is far higher than the cost of what the Green New Deal will be. And there
Here's
is
what-
enormous popularity for this bill around
Okay.
the whole country.
Here's
And we're
what
asking you to
we
be
are
brave and
proposing.
do this for us and for your grandchildren.
Get enough for everybody. I'm trying to do the best I can, which was to write a responsible resolution.
Any plan that
that
doesn't
has-
take bold, transformative action is not going to be what we need.
Well, you know better than I do. So I think one day you should run for the Senate.
Great, I
And
will.
then you do it your way.
But by that time,
In the meantime,
by that time, there's
I
going to be
just,
a big problem.
I just
have a
won a
letter
big
for you.
election.
All right. Yeah. Feinstein did not look good. Here are some highlights. I just won a big election. Maybe people should listen a little bit. You didn't vote for me because you aren't of age to vote. This is the real problem here for the Sunrise Movement is that they didn't have money to give her. That's the problem. And we're going to get to that in a second here. But let me first show you. So actually, before I get to these tweets, oftentimes using kids for these kinds of political situations, it can come off looking like a stunt. And oftentimes it is a stunt. But in this situation, this actually directly impacts them. Climate change policy, or the lack of climate change policy, will directly impact these kids. So to call this a stunt is ignoring the fact that this is a situation where it actually makes sense to bring kids along to discuss how the Green New Deal will impact them. Now, let me show you some reaction from people that loved this. Yep, there are people that loved what Dianne Feinstein did here. So check out, look, and a lot of them happen to be conservative pundits. So assholes like Ben Shapiro said, what the fuck? I love Dianne Feinstein now. Eric Erickson, another jerk. Oh my God, I love Dianne Feinstein now. These are people that apparently get off on the idea of politicians being assholes to children. I don't quite understand it. And these are also the same people that are supposed to be religious and empathetic, presumably. But I'm constantly amazed by conservatives. And look, it's important to remind people here. It's not like the Green New Deal is some crazy legislation that no one's supporting. No, actually, Democrats are united around AOC and Senator Merkley's Green New Deal. The resolution has been endorsed by nearly every Democratic presidential candidate, with support from 74% of Democratic voters in early primary states. The people being divisive are those standing in the way of change. So as I was alluding to earlier, what is Feinstein's problem here? As I said, the Sunrise Movement doesn't have money or lots of money to give her. So here is the actual problem. On the same day that this happened, this tweet went out from Oil Change US. Breaking. We just delivered this letter to Senator Feinstein's office detailing her breaking of the no fossil fuel money pledge she signed. Read it here. So Dianne Feinstein broke her pledge to not take fossil fuel money. So she has taken fossil fuel money since signing a pledge saying that she wouldn't. May give you an indication as to why she does not support the Green New Deal. Now, in contrast to how terrible Feinstein looked here, let's look at a politician speaking to kids about climate change that actually cares about this issue and actually cares about how it's going to impact kids and what kids think. So this is Bernie Sanders in 1987 talking to middle school students.
Some of you may have seen there were some articles in the newspaper recently about the destruction of the ozone layer and the fact that the climate, the temperature on Earth may rise a few degrees. Is that significant? Does that just mean that the summer will be a little bit warm, we can go swimming another day or two? Okay?
Well, it's not, it doesn't seem significant, but if it gets like hardly any warmer, the polar ice caps could melt and like flood the oceans.
Precisely.
And flood us.
The point being that if you don't think that raising temperature a few degrees is an enormous consequence, you're very wrong. Because it doesn't mean just that, oh boy, I can go swimming a few more days. It means that the type of rays that come down from the sun will make us vulnerable to disease. It will have an impact on the polar caps in melting them. And it gets back to the point that she made, which is that everything relates to everything else. Okay, when that loudspeaker interrupted us, it relates to us. It relates to the conversation that we have. Everything relates to everything else. The environment is a very, very fragile system of interrelationships. And if one thing is disrupted, it'll have an effect on everything else. For example, if the raising of the temperature has an effect on drought, and I don't know that it will, but it might, and on the growing of food, on the growing of wheat, what does that mean in terms of the way we live? Yeah.
Well, if the wheat is destroyed, then we're going to lose a lot of the food that we eat.
Right, exactly. And if pollution has an effect on water, what does it obviously mean? Yep.
That like we're going to dehydrate.
Well, obviously you can't live without fresh water. And as you know, in many areas of the country now we live right here on the lake, and we have a problem I'll talk about in a second. But in many areas of the country now, water, we take water for granted. It's not a big deal. But in many areas of the country, the availability of fresh drinking water is a major, major problem, and it is getting worse.
I mean, the contrast couldn't be more stark. On one hand, you have Dianne Feinstein essentially lambasting kids for even bringing up the idea that she should support the Green New Deal. And then on the other side of that, you have Bernie Sanders educating and talking with children about the impact of climate change back in 1987. And not even, yes, he obviously shows genuine interest. He shows that he cares. He's an actual human being. But on top of that, he actually predicts the impact of climate change back in 1987. Talks about the impact on farming, the impact on droughts. This dude has it all. It's amazing. Like, this is what a politician should be. A politician should actually care about the issues they were supposed to be fighting for, should actually be looking out for everyone, should actually be looking out for the planet, should be doing whatever they can to not only push policy forward, but also educate other people, educate their communities. That's exactly what Bernie Sanders was doing here. And there are a number of videos. I was even going to show other ones. I won't do it here, but I'll link to some below. There are other videos, more recent videos of him talking to classrooms. This is somebody who is actually engaged with people, engaged with these issues. And it shows you that Bernie Sanders is a true leader. Meanwhile, Dianne Feinstein is just a joke.